Alrighty, so for our project for week 7, we're going to look at the user experience and look at some CSS engineering to layer into our project. Some of the stuff was introduced to Kevin and some of it was introduced to attendance. And then we'll also look at actually using the specificity audit as well as using some advanced background techniques, again, that was introduced for your AI generated assets. Now, you can use images you already have. We'll end up also probably next week adding back just some regular images using the Fig and the Fig caption. But for this time, you're going to do that hero section. And now this is where I went over this in attendance. So I'll just cover this and I'll show you my background, right? Or I'll show you my output. And so this is where you're going to, on your index.html makes the most sense. Now, if you want to do this on another page, but definitely it has to go on, at least one of these has to be, if you want to do one on your other page, you can, but it has to go on the index page. And this is where you have your primarily H1, right? But you follow it with your section, and your hero section is what I would call the class if you want to call it something else. But hero section is a fairly common term as I described in attendance. And now what you're going to do is you're going to, for this hero section, you're going to use for the layout, you're going to remove the image, or if you want to create, let me say this, a different image to do this with, you can as well. And move that or use that background image that we learned about in attendance. Use that linear gradient. Use linear gradient, the background size, the background position in order to give your image the focalness that you want. Now, in this case, I recommended something like 60 for the viewport height and use some padding in that section. No fixed pixel heights though. Okay, so again, all of this is stuff we saw in attendance, and some of it's the stuff we got in code along. So hopefully by now you feel pretty comfortable. Now for me, I showed you in attendance, but here is mine. And so what I did is when I put it in, I put it on my index page, and then I fixed it to where the person towards and at top would be where the position itself was, okay? So also here, and this is something I talked about in attendance, definitely make sure you optimize these image sizes to where they're a bit more, not as large as when you originally generate them with AI, because they are definitely big. Okay, so I kept my H1 on there, I put a H2, and this is where I use the descendant selector, okay, to actually target only my H2s, because I have other H2s in my content and I would not want to do that to all those. Okay, so that's where using that descendant selector is really good. Okay, so now you're going to do the same thing. You have a commit there. So now you're going to do your B is using the component selector. Now I realize that this actually doesn't say descendant selectors, but you're going to want to do that as well on this one, because if you don't, like I said, it's going to then, and I will update the instruction before then, because if you don't have a specific class here, all of your H2s are going to end up being styled that way, and depending on how your page is, this might not be the way you want it to look. Okay, all right, so but in the component, again, like we did in attendance, right, you might want to use an article or a section, however you want to do it. Have your AI generated image, right, and this is just an example of the prompt that you could use. Descender select the requirement here, but again, I'll add it to the one before. So this is an example of how to do that. It says target only the H2 within this class, right? To control that, use that shadowing that I showed before to make it pop out. Let's see, for mine, I believe here is the image I used as well. And then you'll also do this list thing that we'll do in a minute. Oh, back here, okay? So, oh, I realized that's actually not on there. Oh, no, yeah, it is right here, custom. So the other thing is I want you to define the H hover and the H focus for all your A's. So now when you do this, and some of you missed this before, so I'm putting it here. If you see any jumping, and what that means is depending on what you've used for the rollover, now when I'm in DevTools it doesn't show up. Sometimes what can happen here is it can jump around a little bit. So if you run into that, right? Just ensure that you keep the padding and border values identical. That way it doesn't. And I say this because I ran into this when I was playing with it. I'm like, oh yeah, why is that jumping just a little bit? And that's why. If you roll over or your hover values have different border padding or borders, that'll do that, right? And then only change the color and the background color. So then you're going to do these custom markers that we learned about. So fun to do these. The dash li I guess these are colon marker. These pseudo classes to handle that content. These are really fun. Like I showed you, here's where I did that in mine as well. Okay. And then what you're going to do is on your README file, you're going to use to find a specific specificity score of your descendant selector that you did in step 2, or in this case in step 1, because I'm going to go back and put it there as well. Okay, then you're going to add week 3 engineering notes in there, and you're going to document that specificity score and explain why that is necessary to overwrite your global settings. This is something Kevin covered really well, so hopefully you have that, and then you'll commit this as well. Okay, so here's how I will look at the grading, and that shouldn't be a big surprise there. But have fun with this. We aren't adding any new pages. We're just refining this, adding that hero image. Like I said, do it to your homepage if you wanted. Like I could take and actually do it here. Notice how also I use the same class here for that. And then I had something here, but I definitely would be interested in possibly changing another one of these to be a hero image in the future. All right, have fun with this, and I'll talk to you later.